Thank you. So we now turn the corner and enter the last phase of tonight's format. Each candidate will have 4 minutes or less to provide a closing statement. Well, there you go.
Well, first of all, thank you, North Fulton Dems. Thank you all for being out here this evening. Thank you to all of my fellow candidates for being willing to put your lives, reputations, everything at stake in service to democracy. Most of all, thank you again to all of you for your civic engagement, for coming out here on a rainy evening in an off year, more than a year before the election, to hear from your candidates, for all of the doors you've knocked on, all of the phone calls you've made, for so many Democrats here in Fulton County and across Georgia. I really do believe, as I said, that the solutions to our problems are not mysterious. They seem shrouded in mystery because we're subjected to so much disinformation and misinformation and propaganda, and we're persuaded that we hate each other, and we're made to fear one another, and we're made to believe that there are unbridgeable divides between us. It's sad. It doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't have to be this way. And I truly believe in my heart that better days are coming. But these next 13 months, they will be among the most vital in the history of this republic. And future generations and the rest of the world are watching all of us to see how we will rise to this occasion. So my pitch to you, closing this evening, is to stay engaged, to stay involved, to keep the faith. We will win some, we will lose some. In the long run, we will win more than we lose. We will build power. We are on the right side of history. Believe that. This corruption, this deception, this waste and brutality, and those are words that mean something. Corruption, deception, waste, brutality. These define our politics today. And it's a disgrace. And David Perdue should be ashamed of himself. And I'm not just attacking him because I'm running against him. He should be ashamed of himself for what he has enabled. History will be very harsh on this man. History will treat this man very harshly. But God willing, history will judge him for his one term of work. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's funny, the way that I think about this is we do owe David Perdue one thing, and one thing only. We owe him the opportunity to retire now and reflect on what he's done. Or more importantly, what he's not done for the last 6 years. You know, this is a moment in our politics where the temptation is to lose hope, right? I think people were so energized all over the state last year, and we were so close. And we did so much of the groundwork to bring out hundreds of thousands of new voters to the polls. And it was absolutely soul-crushing when we didn't cross the finish line. But here's what I want you to know. While it wasn't the outcome that we had all hoped for, it was not a loss. This was a win for the people of Georgia, for people all over 159 counties who feel like they have not had a voice in government for far too long. You see, the thing that I fear most is when people lose faith in the kind of leaders that we send to Washington, right? Because if you have good people and you think they'll do the right thing on balance, there's nothing we can't accomplish as a country. But when people lose faith in our leaders, it's the death of everything we hope for. And where I think we can go in 2020 is not just to build on the expansion of the electorate that we started next year. It's not just to strengthen and reinforce the basic democratic institutions that have made this country full of progress for more than 230 years. Look, guys, we haven't always been perfect. A lot of us were left out along the way for many, many rights, and we're still dealing with the fallout of that. We're dealing with that on everything from housing affordability to healthcare access to the wealth gap to a woman's right to make her own healthcare decisions in the privacy of her physician's office. Guys, does anybody in here think that if that Senate were 50% women, we'd still be debating access to abortion care and birth control? Yeah, I don't either. And that's the thing. We have all the tools we need to change these policies. We have all the tools we need to build an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy few who do better and better while working folks fall further and further behind. We have the tools we need to strengthen collective bargaining rights, protect working families and our unions. You know, it's not a coincidence that as union membership has been decimated across this country by the scourge of right-to-work laws, that income inequality has skyrocketed. We need our unions, we need organized labor, we need them to protect economic security and our working families. All of that can change starting in 2020. If we take the gavel away from Mitch McConnell, the self-proclaimed Grim Reaper, we can change it starting next year. We can live up to the potential that we have as a state and as a nation. And as your senator, I promise you, I will wake up every day with your interest front and center. I owe nothing to any special interest. I owe every opportunity I have had running for office last year and this year to the people of Georgia. That's what you need. That's what you're going to get when you put a Democratic majority in the United States Senate. We will get to work going through those 400 bills the House has already passed. We will make sure to secure your family's economic future, access to affordable health care, protecting the environment, clean air and clean water, protecting women's rights and reproductive justice. And if we do that, there is nothing this country cannot achieve in the future. I'm so grateful to be here tonight, and I hope you'll join us. Follow us on Twitter. Go to our website at sarahforgeorgia.com. Come be a part of the conversation now. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming tonight. First off, let me just say that we have a great group of candidates for the United States Senate. All right? Let me just say here and now, and because we're being videotaped for all posterity, no matter who the nominee is, if it's me, great. If it's one of these fine people, great. I will support the nominee. We need to get behind the Democratic nominee against David Perdue because we have to flip that Senate seat. It allows us to flip toward Mitch McConnell as the majority leader. When I ran for mayor of Clarkston in 2013, I was 30 years old. And actually, I ran for kind of a crazy reason. My neighbors wanted speed humps in their neighborhood, and they knew that I was involved in politics, and they said, Ted, go talk to the mayor and get us some speed bumps. I said, of course, I know how to lobby. I'll go talk to our mayor. And I met with the mayor, and he said, you can get speed bumps, but you have to pay for them. I said, wait a second. You want us to pay for them? That's why we pay taxes. That's why they're there. And so I went back and told my neighbors, and they were very disappointed, and then they had a great idea. They said, Ted, you're going to run for mayor. And, you know, part of it was too young, too soon, too unrealistic. I was 30 years old. I was running against an incumbent mayor, 40 years older than I am, lived in the town, Clarkston, for his entire life. But I didn't care. I wanted to change things. I wanted to raise the issues. I knocked on a lot of doors. In fact, actually, I have my canvassing shoes on today. This is canvassing season for the next 13 months, y'all. So you'll be seeing me with red sneakers. I don't wear the nice wingtips, okay? You can't go canvassing in wingtips. And I knocked on a lot of doors. They need to be blue. No, actually, you know, it's a good opportunity to talk to people that might disagree with you a little bit. The point is, you can't miss them, okay? All right? So you can see me coming from a mile away. And, I'm a millennial. I'm 36 years old, so I'm kind of like an elder millennial. But the one thing I know about my generation is that our bullshit meter is very sensitive. Okay? And I'm a little bit old-fashioned, but I'm also kind of forward-thinking, and I went to Sunday school, and I paid attention in Sunday school when we talked about welcoming the stranger and taking care of the least of these. And then I read my Spider-Man comic book. Those with great power have great responsibility. And being an elected official, having an opportunity to change people's lives, to fight every single day, no matter what people tell you is unrealistic or can't be done, I don't care. I'm not listening to that. I'm going to fight. And what I know about the largest voting bloc in America, which is the under 35-year-olds, is they don't want to hear rhetoric. They don't want to hear platitudes. They want to know what you're going to do. Concretely, what you're going to do. And so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight for a Green New Deal. I'm going to fight for Medicare for all. I'm going to support the peace plan, universal background checks, red flag laws, banning assault weapons, investigating the NRA, a $15 minimum wage. And if we can't pass a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United and get corporate money and private financing out of our elections, then we need to increase public financing. They do a program called Democracy Bucks in Seattle and other cities, where they give every individual a little bit of money back to spend on elections. We can't deal with the corporate money because of the Supreme Court. We got to equalize the power with all of us right here. Thank you all very much.
Wow, what an amazing night. Bruce, thank you so much for all your hard work tonight. To the North Fulton Democrats, thank you for having this forum. And to my tremendous colleagues, this has been a night I've been waiting for a long time. And I know you all finally in the state of Georgia, after my 30 years in Democratic politics in this state, to see a robust discussion of progressive principles. Thank you, Lord. And how those progressive principles are the better governing principles for Georgians. And that's the beauty of this discussion. And I want you to know that there's been a seismic change in Georgia politics. We were a one-party Democratic state. We were a one-party Republican state. And folks, today we are firmly a two-party state. So you need to know that this is our moment in time. Hillary Clinton only lost this state by 5 points in 2016. We were so knocked in the gut by Trump's election, we did not stop to realize the accomplishments, the transition that had happened in Georgia. And then we had 2018. And we came within 55,000 votes of having the first African-American woman sit in a governor's mansion. The state of Georgia, folks. And so we need to harvest the legacy that Stacey Abrams and her tremendous team brought us. And that's what this election is about. What is that next chapter? Yes, we have to do everything we did in 2016, 2018, and I submit to you that the next chapter is to go out and harvest those votes in Central and South Georgia of people who are Democrats, who are progressives, who we have left behind and never competed before for their votes. People whose lives are touched by government every single day, either because the school system is the largest employer in their county, or the military base two counties over, or the fact that their health care is dependent on Planned Parenthood being just one city over from them. They know this is important, and the conversations that are happening out there, we've already done our South Georgia tour and our North Georgia tour. We've already been to 28 counties. I can tell you, this is not the Georgia of elections past. This is today. And I look at you all and I know how many doors you knocked on. I know how many postcards you have signed. I thank you for that. And because of you, we are at this moment, this 2020 threshold, and who we nominate is so incredibly important. I'm glad we have this tremendous field, but it's my job here tonight to distinguish us. And so let me say, I submit to you that the reason why I would like to be the Democratic nominee to face David Perdue is, one, I have learned how to solve incredibly dysfunctional systems, and I have a record to prove it. I have learned how to solve the unsolvable. I have learned how to pull victory from the jaws of defeat. And that is a skill that is desperately needed in the United States Senate. I have won hard scrabbled elections in a minority majority community and brought consensus with 68% of the vote in a four-way race with 44 debates, and then was reelected with 63% of the vote. It was difficult, it was necessary, but the community was ready for a change, just like Georgia's ready for a change. And I will tell you, I have governed and governed well, and that's something that they will be looking for in the general election against David Perdue. And lastly, I will say that my candidate profile as being a leader in Southwest Georgia with a good name, recognition, and reputation in those 90 counties where we need to shave those votes, that's going to make the difference. And let me tell David Perdue this. The people of Central and South Georgia will never believe that Columbus, Georgia twice elected a socialist mayor, so he can take that off the list. Folks, I look forward to being your Democratic nominee, and I ask you one question: are you ready to win? Are you ready to win? Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to serve as your moderator, and please remember, when all is said and done and the primary is over, each of you has a responsibility for helping turn Georgia blue. Put aside your differences and work together. It is not an exaggeration to say that the fate of our country and our democracy hangs in the balance. Thank you for that.